So, hello Eagles Nation, Vincent Fust here, and welcome to a Week 11 Eagles Chat. But before we get into this Eagles Chat, make sure to subscribe to the Eagles Chat YouTube channel, along with liking this Eagles Chat video. And if you want to see daily updates on your birds, make sure to follow us on Instagram at ChatEagles. You can also see updates on when we'll be posting Eagles Chats next, but you can also see the Eagles Chat play of the game on our Instagram feed. You can check that out after this Eagles Chat. So let's get into this Week 11 Eagles Chat. Starting off, we all know the Eagles went up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they won with a final score of 21-17, so it was not a pretty game by any means. I think I had about 50 heart attacks watching that game yesterday, but hey, a win's a win, and the Eagles now improved to 9-1. So let's get into this Eagles Chat a bit more, starting off with the injury update. Now, with the W that came out of yesterday's game, another W transpires now with having no big-time injuries happen to any big-time players. So as much moisture that there was in the air yesterday and the rain falling, we were lucky no one pulled anything or went down or slipped. So that is a very good sign. With the W in general, with also this big W of no big-time injuries. So that is definitely a beautiful sight to see. But as we get now more into this Week 11 Eagles Chat, into the defensive part, it was an up-and-down game for the defense. Definitely a different-looking defense in the first half than in the second half. Eagles start off the first half not looking the greatest defensively, and then the second half was absolutely dominant, shutting out the Chiefs. At 17, you saw on the scoreboard, was all done in the first half. The Chiefs had absolutely a big goose egg up there in the second half, and we're going to start with one of the big contributors, one being newcomer Kevin Byard, who had an interception and a big-time moment. The Chiefs are on a pretty good drive, and Kevin Byard was able to come up with a response in the end zone to pick it off. Luckily, he stayed in the end zone and went down in the end zone and didn't try running it out of the end zone. So a good play by Kevin Byard, a big-time pick and a big-time part of the game, was able to put a stop to the Chiefs and their momentum all and kill two birds and one stone right there. But another guy I really got to give credit to is Eagles defensive coordinator, Mr. Sean Desai. Yes, they start off a little iffy, but he adjusted, and the second half was, incredible. Now, yes, I understand their Eagles defenders did get burnt at times, and there were a lot of times where Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers should have caught the football, but ended up coming up empty-handed. And even Kansas City Chiefs tight end star Travis Kelce, there were times that he had the ball right in his hands, but could not come up with the catch either. So did the Eagles defense get lucky a couple times yesterday? Yes, they did. There were times where a beautiful dime from Patrick Mahomes was dropped by the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver. Now, yes, there was rain yesterday. That could have played in some part with it. And with any little mist, that can make it around 10% harder to catch the football. Any type of moisture in the air that lands on the football can make it that much harder to catch. So the Eagles did get burned a few times yesterday, but there were also times where they played very, very good defense. And that happened to be most of the time in the second half where the Eagles played the Chiefs real well. And I definitely, like I said, I have to give credit to Sean Desai as he adjusted when necessary and had a very good second half. Especially against that type of offense. Yes, I understand the Kansas City Chiefs offense hasn't been as great. It hasn't been as great compared to what they usually are, but it was, being able to shut out that offense in the second half is a pretty big accomplishment. And like I said, I have to give a good amount of credit to Sean Desai, especially coming off the first half that he had and having a second half like that. A very good kudos to him. He adjusted very well. And hey, the defense is really what kept the Eagles in the game and really what helped the Eagles big time to get this win. But now moving on to the offense, and speaking of adjusting, we're going to go to a guy that everybody's talking about, and this guy, when I say speaking of adjusting, he didn't adjust that well, and that being Brian Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Was it a great game? Was it a great game for him? No, it was not a great game for him at all. He was calling a lot of these same plays over and over that didn't work, and the problem was Kansas City was getting better each time and reading them better each time he called the play. Now, I understand you cannot blame everything on the Eagles offensive coordinator. There are a lot of times where Hurts himself, Jalen Hurts, did not play that well either. And there were a lot of times where plays were called and they were very, very slow to develop. Now, I understand, yes, Brian Johnson should have kept calling certain plays? No, especially those lateral plays as well, where the throw was lateral. But the only problem is, if you noticed, during those plays, it took them a long time to develop. When Hurts would get the ball, it would take so long for that throw to happen, where the Kansas City Chiefs were able to read that perfectly. And yes, the Kansas City Chiefs are a good defense, but I mean, it took so long where pretty much any defense in the NFL really could have read those plays. And I just think that that ball has to be out of his hands a lot faster. And it was just too easy to read. I mean, especially as good as that defense is, they will pick up on plays like that in a half a second. So it wasn't really the greatest game. For Brian Johnson in general, was not a great game, but also for the offense was not a great game. But as the second half approached, it started to get a little better. And we're going to look at some contributors. One starting off with Devontae Smith, who had one hell of a game. He had 6 receptions for 99 yards. Kind of hard to believe he did not have a touchdown. He almost did, but it was seen that he was down at the 1-yard line, as we all know what came after that, the Philly tush push that everybody cries about on a daily basis, but we are all used to that as Eagles fans because, everyone wants to be us, but they're mad they are not us. So as we go into another contributor right here, another guy who had a hell of a game, DeAndre Swift right here, who was all over the place receiving and on the ground with his legs. And let's look at his yards in general. He had 12 carries for 76 yards, 1 touchdown. And, I mean, he was all over the place, with especially that one play with Jason Kelce in front of him, blocking and completely sent that one guy to the moon and allowed this guy to really fly and do his thing. I mean, hey, we have the best Kelce-Swift duo. I mean, there's no argument right there. I mean, come on. Now, as we go into Jalen Hurts himself, we now look at, was his passing game that great? No, he did not have a great passing game. Now, he did have a good running game, but let's start looking at his numbers. For his passing, he was 14 out of 22. He had 150 yards thrown, did not have any throwing touchdowns, and he did have 1 interception. Now, for his running, he had 12 carries for 29 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, one of those touchdowns being the tush push, and the other touchdown, it was just a designed QB run of him using his legs in general. So Jalen Hurts was definitely a lot more confident running yesterday. You could see when he was running, he was a lot more confident. And it wasn't just that one running touchdown he had as well. He also used his legs some other times during the game as well. So Jalen Hurts, I mean, especially yesterday, with that game, as much rain and moisture there was in the air, it was definitely tough for that passing game to get underway, and it wasn't doing that well in general, and I'm pretty sure some of it was not caused by the rain. But, I mean, you look at it, the good thing about the Eagles, they have 2 points of attack. If their passing game is not quite on par, or if it's, not quite the right weather for it, they have a big attack for the running game, having one hell of a running back room, and also Jalen Hurts himself with his legs. So the Eagles were able to attack him on the run and were able to really take it to the Chiefs, especially in that second half. So that's all I really got to say for this Week 11 Eagles chat. And next week, the Eagles play the Bills Sunday, November 26th, 4:25 p.m. at the Link. And yes, as you can all tell, I have the Kelly Green throwback logo up here because that is for the second and final time the Eagles will be wearing their Kelly Green uniforms. Hopefully they can get their second win in those uniforms this year. Hopefully they can come up with a big win this year for the Philadelphia faithful at the Link. Hopefully they can have another W then and keep this winning ways going. So that's all I really got to say for this Week 11 Eagles chat. Happy Thanksgiving, folks. Hope everybody has a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Whether you're spending time with your family, friends, or just spending time alone, make sure to fill up, enjoy yourself, relax, enjoy this victory week. Philadelphia, you deserve it. And here are your games with all divisional games. We all know who we want to lose in this one. Well, I know we both wish both of them could lose, but hey, we all know who we really want to lose big time. So we'll see how that goes. We had 3 good games. Sit back, relax, have a good Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next week back for the Eagles and Bills game. So that's all I really got to say for this Week 11 Eagles chat. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody, and as I always say, go Birds.